I believe this level is the shortest of World 4, but you don't have time to screw around. There are point multipliers lining the cliffside, and you need to get as many of them as possible in a row. And you want to get at least 9,000 points from that collectible. If you don't have 20,000 points by the time you're out of this point multiplier, you're screwed. Even with this much, we'll just barely make it. This challenge area is nothing special. You can reach this challenge area before you get Chameleon Pack, and as a result, you don't need to use his ability here. You just run between crushers a lot. And considering what we've seen crushers used for so far, this is nothing. This level is pretty sparse on points. This first part with all the point multipliers, that's where it's at. If you don't get at least 20,000, then it's just over. You're done, restart the level. The second half of this level is still fun though, it's just a big platforming gauntlet. There's just not a lot of enemies to speak of. Up here is a collectible that's really easy to miss. We have to stay on this platform and jump over the fire. If we jump down there, we'll miss the pole that leads us to the collectible. This pole right here. You would either have to die or restart the level to reach that if you missed it. Even with this many points, I was still really unsure if I had enough to reach the high score. Thankfully, yes.
Too cool. Hey, the Tree of Life! Here in the past, it must have just sprouted! And Pac-Kong berries! Just what the Pacosaurus ordered!
So the game transitions to a beat 'em up for this boss fight, and the fight's not hard itself, but trying to get the high score is, because you actually want to do as little damage to him as possible. The more damage you do to him, the faster his health bar goes down, and the faster the fight ends. Our heavy attack is completely useless, because the only way to maximize points is to perform our full 3-hit combo on him. When we perform our full 3-hit combo, we get 1,600 points and an extra 500 from Slimetanium. He's only vulnerable to a full combo for a very short period of time. No, he's not vulnerable when he's dazed. If we use our heavy attack, we can break through his block and deal massive damage, but we don't get many points for that. So yes, basically the heavy attack is completely useless, and you have to very carefully choose when you're going to punch. It is still a bit more lenient than the boss fight against Apex, because there is some room for error here, just not a lot. The second phase of this boss fight is even easier than the first. That is, if you're playing it normally, because you can just pick up these rocks and hurl them at him, and the rocks hurt him a lot. But we still need to get our score to at least 40,000. I would go in detail about which attacks the Pacosaurus has, but all of them basically just hit straight in front of them save for one. Yeah, that tail whip thing. We can block, as I tried to show you there, but he can just charge right through our block. We can also dodge roll out of the way. Really, moving normally is the best way to evade attacks. And I think we're finally all good on points. We have at least 40,000, and we get a big bonus for beating him. So now we can finally start hitting him with rocks. It's kinda hard to pick them up. Pac seems to want to smash them sometimes. But if you throw them, yeah, that's a lot of damage. Unfortunately, very few points.
Now all I have to do is take the repository to Betrayus and...
No need to trouble yourself.
Yes, we shall take the repository to betray us ourselves.
But Betrayus and I had a deal!
Yeah, to release your parents in exchange for the repository. I'm sure Lord Betrayus would have been happy to keep his promise.
If he actually had your parents, that is.
Betrayus doesn't know where my parents are? He was lying?
Of course he was. What part of betray us don't you understand? Anyway, we have to run. Thanks for all your help.